In a time when ancient sands whispered secrets of empires past and hearts yearned for hope, the stories of unseen heroes beckon us to look deeper. This journey is not about the thunderous armies or miracles on display, but about quiet acts of defiance, transformative courage, and enduring wisdom. In these ancient pages, let us rediscover the hidden narratives of extraordinary women whose lives still speak in the rhythms of our modern hearts. Episode 1: Shipra and Puah, the midwives who defied a pharaoh. In an era of harsh decrees and ruthless commands, two women faced the darkness of tyranny with unwavering determination. The realm trembled under Pharaoh's brutal order. Every Hebrew baby boy was to be slain. Yet amid the oppressive gloom, Shipra and Puah emerged like beacons of compassion and quiet valor. With resolve that outshone the gleam of any polished weapon, these midwives made a choice that echoed beyond their own fleeting moments. They moved with silent rebellion, a gentle and steadfast refusal encapsulated in every life preserved. Their actions, understated yet monumental, wove hope into the fabric of an oppressed generation. Without the clamor of armies or the heralding of miracles, they carried out a sacred duty. In their hearts, a simple truth resounded: compassion is resistance. As the lifeblood of new beginnings, every newborn that survived became proof that even in the deepest shadows, the light of courage could shine. Their actions sowed seeds of change that would one day give rise to legendary liberation, proving that honor and defiance reside in even the gentlest of souls. Their story reminds us that every whisper of resistance can create a symphony of change across time. Episode 2: Jael, the Tent Peg Warrior. On the fringes of battle and in the quiet aftermath of strife, a woman named Jael stepped forward to rewrite the boundaries of power. As conflicts swirled and armies clashed, the defeated and desperate sought refuge in a moment of vulnerable reprieve. In a humble tent behind a veil of ordinary life, Jael offered sanctuary, a gesture that belied the storm that lay ahead. As the enemy's commander, Sisera, sought respite from the horrors of war, he found himself in the unlikeliest of traps. Cradled by the calm of a desolate night, under the soft glow of starlight, Jael's steady hand and unyielding resolve concealed a secret intent. In the silence of her tent, a hammer and a tent peg transformed from mere tools into symbols of fate. With the weight of destiny resting on her shoulders, she struck decisively, her actions echoing through history. As an affirmation that valor often dwells in the unanticipated, Jael's quiet strength shattered not only the enemy's resolve, but also the conventional notion of power. Here, behind the thin veil of domestic simplicity, resided a warrior whose legacy proves that sometimes the fiercest battles are fought without the clamor of swords, in one determined rhythm of resolve and ingenuity. Episode 3: Abigail, the peacemaker who saved a king. When the wheels of retribution churned in the dust of conflict, a wise woman named Abigail emerged as a luminous mediator. In the heat of impending bloodshed, where anger and grief sought to birth further violence, the path of wisdom became the only trail to salvation. Abigail, recognized for her astute judgments and inner strength, stepped forth at a time when a mighty king's heart teetered precariously on the edge of vengeance. With a blend of humble humility and unyielding resolve, she rode into the heart of danger. In that tense, charged moment, her presence spoke louder than the clash of armies. As tension mounted and the prospect of war loomed large, her measured words and thoughtful gestures gently coaxed a legendary king away from the brink of irreversible conflict. In this encounter, the transformative power of empathy and rationality triumphed over the call for retribution. Like a masterful artist painting peace on the canvas of upheaval, Abigail's wisdom defied the forces of anger. Her intervention not only spared lives, but reshaped the course of a nation's destiny. Her legacy whispers a timeless truth: wisdom is a weapon, and sometimes the most potent armament is the quiet strength of the human heart. Episode 4: Huldah, the prophetess who confirmed the word. In the labyrinth of ancient scrolls and fervent prayers, the quest for truth was a sacred duty that transcended conventional authority. When a scroll was unearthed, bearing the echoes of divine guidance and ancient warnings, a king stood at a crossroads in his realm. Instead of relying solely on the pronouncements of established priests, he sought counsel from a woman whose insight and spiritual gravitas defied the norms of her time. Huldah, the revered prophetess. In an atmosphere steeped in both uncertainty and expectation, Hulda's calm presence served as a vessel for divine truth. With measured steps and a clarity that resonated like a well-tuned harp in a quiet sanctuary, she studied the sacred text. Her interpretation did more than clarify ancient commandments. It ignited a spark of revival and reform among the people. Through her unwavering faith and eloquent understanding of the divine, she reasserted that truth, in its purest form, knows no bounds of gender or convention. In that pivotal moment, as the king and his council marveled at her clarity, the weight of divine destiny was affirmed. Hulda's legacy, etched in those hallowed lines of scripture, reminds us that the pursuit of truth is an act of courage that transforms destinies and transcends time. Episode 5, Tamar, the woman who demanded justice. In a world where promises were made and easily broken, one woman's quest for justice struck with the force of undeniable resolve. Tamar, standing in the residual shadows of shattered vows, faced betrayal with a heart filled with righteous indignation. In a moment of profound audacity, she transformed her pain into a demand for accountability. When Judah, entrusted with a sacred promise, betrayed the trust that was woven into familial bonds, Tamar refused to accept silence in the face of injustice. With her demeanor cloaked in both wisdom and boldness, she adopted an unexpected guise, setting forth a course that would eventually force acknowledgement of her rights. The symbolic display of identity, a staff and a seal reminiscent of bonds broken and honor denied, became her proclamation of dignity. In that act, she not only reclaimed her own standing, but also paved a path toward an equitable future, echoing through the corridors of legal tradition. Tamar's legacy stands as a testament to the relentless pursuit of justice, illustrating that sometimes the most powerful retribution is born of calm defiance and the unwavering demand for what is right. In her determined stance, righteousness wore boldness like a crown, illuminating that the fight for fairness is as ancient as it is unyielding. Episode 6, The Wise Woman of Abel, the negotiator who ended a siege. In the midst of turmoil, when the drums of war pounded against fortified walls, hope came in an unexpected form, the voice of a woman determined to speak peace into existence. When Joab's army encircled the city of Abel, casting a long shadow of despair on its inhabitants, a courageous woman emerged. Without the clamor of swords or the roar of battle, she dared to ascend the ramparts, her heart beating with both trepidation and resolve. As she scaled the ancient walls, the fate of thousands hung in the balance. Her clear and persuasive voice, laced with genuine concern, called out to the invaders, a plea not for surrender, but for understanding. With a careful mix of empathy and strategic insight, she negotiated terms that would spare her people from a tragic end. In that fragile moment, her words wove a tapestry of hope and unity, proving that wisdom and compassion can indeed build walls that war cannot breach. The city of Abel, saved by this singular act of dialogue, bore witness to the transformative power of courage expressed through the art of negotiation. Her story reminds us that sometimes the mightiest weapon is not wielded by the sword, but by the eloquent reach of understanding and care. Episode 7, The Daughters of Zelophehad, the Women Who Changed the Law. In a patriarchal society steeped in tradition, the fearless voices of five sisters rose as a clarion call for justice and change. When their father, Zelophehad, passed away, leaving no male heir, these determined young women refused to accept a fate defined by outdated norms. Instead, they turned to Moses with a question that resonated deeply. Why should their inheritance be denied on the basis of tradition? Their appeal was not a loud clamor, but a measured, profound request grounded in fairness and equality. In an act that defied centuries of prejudice, their bold petition led not only to a personal triumph, but to a monumental legal reform that would reverberate for generations. The ruling that followed would reshape laws and lives, affirming that the rights of every individual must be acknowledged regardless of gender. These sisters, through a single act of courage and clarity, transformed the fabric of society. Their story is a resounding reminder that by asking boldly and challenging the status quo, one can indeed change history. Their legacy lives on in the silent strength of every voice that dares to demand fairness and equity in the face of tradition. Episode 8, Rahab, the spy who believed, amidst the looming walls of a city steeped in ancient enmity, Rahab's unlikely path to redemption was written in the bold hues of faith and transformation. In the midst of turmoil and siege, she made an extraordinary choice that would forever alter the course of her destiny. With subtle courage and a deep belief in a God whose power transcended borders, she opened her home to unexpected strangers, spies bearing a message of liberation rather than conquest. In an act as daring as it was compassionate, Rahab fastened a scarlet cord upon her window, a humble signal that would later serve as her seal of salvation when the mighty walls crumbled beneath divine intervention. Here, in the uncertainty of war and the fierce glare of enemy forces, her resolute faith shone like a beacon in the dark. Her decision, born from both survival and a profound trust in a higher purpose, sparked a legacy of redemption that continues to inspire. Rahab's life reminds us that faith can transform even the most unlikely souls, and that redemption is available to all who dare to believe. Through her courageous act, the history of nations was rewritten, leaving an indelible mark on the annals of time, a testament to the power of belief and the redemptive strength of the human spirit. In these timeless narratives, the strength, resilience, and quiet defiance of these remarkable women converge to tell a story far greater than their circumstances. Each heroine, whether through compassion or counsel, through defiance or negotiation, carved a path not only for herself, but for the generations to come. Their actions, though rooted in the ancient sands of history, continue to resonate today with a vibrancy that transcends time. Their stories invite us to question the familiar, to celebrate the overlooked, and to honor the power of subtle yet profound rebellion. As we traverse the landscape of these powerful sagas, we come to understand that courage is not always measured by the clash of steel or the blaze of fireworks on a battlefield. Often, it can be found in the soft murmur of compassion, in the quiet assertion of dignity, and in the courageous act of seeking justice. Each of these extraordinary women stands as a reminder that history is written not just by the victors, but by those who dare to stand against injustice, who challenge oppressive norms, and who bring forth light from the darkest of moments. In remembering these heroines, Shipra and Puah, who defied tyrants with life-saving compassion, Jael, whose unassuming tent concealed the heart of a warrior, Abigail, who steered a mighty king away from bloodshed with wisdom, Huldah, whose deep understanding of sacred words ignited revival, Tamar, whose bold defiance recharted the path to justice, the wise woman of Abel, whose negotiations spared a people, the daughters of Zelophehad, whose voices reshaped enduring laws, and Rahab, whose courageous faith secured a future. Our own convictions are emboldened. Their legacy continues to whisper a potent message that strength, wisdom, and hope are timeless, and that every act of courage, no matter how quiet, can change the course of history. In this rich tapestry of ancient valor and defiant love, we see that the most powerful stories are not always those celebrated with grand fanfare, but are often hidden in the silent, resilient choices of ordinary women. Their lives remind us that respect for justice, courage to defy injustice, and the purity of a compassionate heart remain the most enduring legacies of all. Their whispers reach across millennia, urging each of us to look within and find the strength to be compassionate, to speak truth, and to stand up for what is right, no matter the cost. Thus, as the echoes of these timeless narratives ripple through our modern world, we are invited to reimagine what it means to be a hero. In every neglected voice, every quiet act of bravery, and every defiant stand against injustice, there exists the promise of renewal, the spark of transformation, and the enduring power of the human spirit. Let these stories be both a guide and a comfort, as they show us that even in the darkest of times, hope can be found in the unlikeliest of places, and that every compassionate act contributes to the eternal symphony of a better world. A journey through these remarkable chapters offers us not just historical insight, but a timeless call to action, to honor those who serve quietly, to recognize the strength in subtle resistance, and to believe that every act of defiance has the power to alter destiny. In remembering these heroines, we embrace a legacy of renewal that reaches from ancient scrolls into the very heart of our own lives, a legacy that continues to inspire us on the winding road toward justice and peace. Every forgotten whisper of courage from these luminous women continues to echo in our hearts today, a reminder that the true measure of strength is not found in grand gestures alone, but in the quiet defiance that dares to stand against the tides of injustice. Their stories, imbued with hope, wisdom, and unyielding faith, remain a vibrant testament to the enduring power of the human spirit, a power that, once ignited, can never be extinguished.